So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Roswell in the 21st century is a detailed re-examination of the Roswell UFO crash case. I have studied the evidence for more than 30 years, and I now put that evidence under a microscope in a cold case examination of the facts. These facts might not please everyone. They are based on my comprehensive investigation that took years to complete, but they do lead to the conclusion that whatever fell was not built on Earth. The Best of Project Blue Book is based on the 22-year-long investigation conducted by the Air Force. But the book goes far beyond that, bringing in evidence that was uncovered long after Project Blue Book was ordered terminated. Using facts that were unavailable to the Air Force investigators, I was able to prove that the Air Force manipulated the data and drew unrealistic conclusions about the UFO sightings reported to them. My different perspective shows there was more to Project Blue Book than even the Air Force knew. Both books are available at Amazon.com.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
Welcome to the Connecting with Coincidence radio show with Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, bringing together the world's synchronicity experts to help you use meaningful coincidences to develop spiritually, psychologically, and practically. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence into your web browser to find the book, website, Psychology Today blog, YouTube channel, and Facebook page. And now, here is the host of the Connecting with Coincidence radio show, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD.
Oh, welcome to the show. Welcome to you, our loyal listeners like Juliet, and welcome to you who are new to the program. Today, we bridge the gap between conventional psychotherapy and the dreamtime world of a shaman. When talking with a friend, consider this. After discussing the weather, tell each other your most recent coincidence story. Here's one of mine. 2 days ago, I had rescheduled a 65-year-old man because I had an urgent dental appointment. At the beginning of our computer screen conversation, I told him why I had to reschedule. I looked at him in the face like a mirror and touched the right side of my face, saying I had an owie right here on my right side of my face. He replied, "Funny you should say that. I am worried right now about my son, who has severe pain in the same part of his face that you just touched." And then he touched the right side of his face just as I had 15 seconds ago. I mirrored his concern about his son's face. Coincidences can be mirrors. So you heard my coincidence story. Tell people yours. Remember, after you talk about the weather, tell a coincidence story. For the last 20 years, Wendy Halley has had a foot in two worlds, the clinical world of the mental health provider and the dreamtime world of the shamanic practitioner. This dual perspective has allowed her to see and experience how transformative accessing the untapped regions of our consciousness can be. She's the author of several books, including Slaying the Mouse and The Magical Path, Conscious Dreaming Exercises for Healing and Growth. Wendy is also host of the Lucid Cafe podcast, on which she graciously had me a few months ago. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thanks, Bernie. I'm really happy to be here.
Very glad to have you. And, a couple of days ago, I hadn't heard it for a long time, but I heard the song Wendy, thinking they were singing about you. And I just heard you say Wendy is one of your favorite songs.
Well, it was, it came out about the time I was born, I believe. So it did become kind of a theme song when I was a kid, even though it's Windy and not Wendy. Yeah.
Yes, it sounds pretty close. It sounds pretty close. Could you tell us about one of your coincidences, please?
Sure. Well, let me just preface this by saying that my perspective is kind of unusual, and so I don't expect all your listeners to maybe buy into it, but at least to be open to the possibility that the nature of reality is a lot more expansive than we might imagine it to be. So just to give a little background, I have a master's degree in clinical psychology, finished up in the mid-90s, and in about 98, I started having these spontaneous visionary experiences that were not drug-induced. And they were just these really interesting, intriguing experiences that I kind of tucked away and I didn't tell anybody about. And I had a bunch of synchronistic experiences that kind of led me to study this thing called shamanism, which I really didn't have a very great understanding of at the time. But come to find out that those initial visionary experiences were kind of an introduction or an invitation to kind of explore this path.
And how did synchronicities get you to shamanism?
I ended up at this, that's another long story. I ended up at this place where I was living in Denver, and I was looking to rent some workshop space to hold a workshop. And I asked them what they did, and they said, "Oh, we have a shaman here." And I just sort of said, out of character for me, I said, "Sign me up for a session." And so I just started learning how to intentionally alter my consciousness.
What you did right there is so important, that without really knowing why, you said, yes, sign me up. And those kinds of intuitive impulse things are so important for our listeners to be able to understand and get into with themselves, because those intuitive messages that are useful to you need to be distinguished from those that are questionable or really not helpful. And for some reason, you were able to feel this seemed like the right thing to do, the right impulse to follow, and here you are.
Exactly, yeah. So fast forward a few years, so early in my apprenticeship, I received a call from my father, letting me know that my brother's name is Tim, the girl he was dating at the time, her brother Jason had mysteriously slipped into a coma, and they had a very deep coma, and they had no idea what was going on with him, and they were desperate. And they were hoping that maybe I could try to, in my shamanic way, make a connection and find out what was going on. So that started a 9-month connection with this young man in a coma when I was in New Jersey, he was in a hospital in Phoenix, Arizona. And I would about 3 times a week try to make this shamanic connection with him.
Now what's so crucial there is that you believed you could do it.
Right.
And that like that impulse is something that it's really hard for people to get to, is to believe you can do something that would be called strange, weird, or impossible according to the way we understand reality. And you were able to believe that you could make a connection to a comatose young man thousands of miles away from you. And it's that kind of believing in the possible that's so important when it comes to what coincidences can teach us.
Yeah, and I always refer to it as crossing a threshold, kind of going into this territory of the unknown, and like, well, what if it is possible? Like, let me not assume that it's not. I'm gonna see. So that's kind of how I approached connecting with this young man.
Yeah, that's good science. I mean, that's experiment. Let's see what happens.
Okay,
that's what my son would do, pushing the wrong button to see what would happen and cause trouble. I mean, same thing.
That's right. What will happen if I put this key into the electric socket?
Yeah, right.
So
we were in an art museum, and the button said, "Don't push it," and he did, and we got kicked out.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's an invitation, really.
It is.
So after sort of early in my time connecting with Jason, I mean, I had my own skepticism about what I was doing, and it was all very new to me in a lot of ways. And so one day when I connected with him, I asked him, I said, can you give me some information that I can relay to your family to kind of validate that I'm actually communicating with you? And I got this like series of data that came very quickly. The first thing that happened was that my heart physically fluttered and then skipped a beat.
Wow.
And then I had this intense feeling of panic, like I couldn't breathe, like I was about to have a panic attack. And then I saw in my mind's eye the image of strawberries and his mom. And then the phrase quantum mind came into my mind. And so I would always go write down everything I perceived afterwards. And I was writing all of these things down to share with his family. And when I got to quantum mind, I couldn't remember the phrase because I'd never heard it before. And I ended up filling in, instead of mind, I put leap, because I was like, well, maybe we're talking about the show, Quantum Leap. You remember that show?
Yeah.
And so I shared that information with his mom, and she said, well, Jason, when he was 15, he was diagnosed with a T-wave inversion in his heart. And yeah, I guess that was the heart flutter and heart palpitation I was feeling. And then I guess since he was 4 years old, he had a paralyzing fear of death, and he would have panic attacks around that. And then I guess he's a big fan of his mom's strawberry shortcake. And then she said, I don't know about quantum leap, though. That doesn't really make any sense. And so the next time I went and connected with Jason, he was like, that's not what I said. He said, I said quantum mind. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Quantum mind. So when I finished connecting with him on that particular day, I went right to the internet, and this was in 2003. So, so it's just to date everything internet-wise. And I plugged in quantum mind, and I was shocked to see like over 600,000 results. And the first result led me to the quantum mind division of the University of Arizona, where I happened to have gone to school. That's where I got my bachelor's degree. And I discovered that quantum mind was an actual science that explores the link between quantum physics and consciousness. And then the next entry in the findings was a website belonging to an Oregon couple. Their names are Arnie and Amy Mindell. And I look on their website, and they have books, right? They wrote books. And Arnie wrote a book called Quantum Mind, The Edge Between Physics and Psychology. And the description on...
And we're going to stop at the edge between psychology and quantum physics for this segment. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We're speaking with Wendy Halley about quantum minds right now, and she's the author of Slaying the Mouse.
Are you looking for psychic services that empower as well as provide accurate information? Jenny is a third-generation psychic with extensive esoteric training. A practicing professional intuitive for over 30 years, her accuracy is astounding. While most psychics can read what will happen to you if you don't change directions, Jenny understands the future is subjective. While there is a river of time we all traverse, that river has many waves, eddies, currents, and tributaries from which to choose. With Jenny as your guide, you can explore the many possible outcomes in the river of time and navigate your course to the one of your liking. Take control of your future. Book your life-changing session with Jenny today at www.gen-e.net. That's www.gen-e.net.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
In the mid-1990s, I was approached by a young woman who believed she'd been abducted by alien creatures. In conversations, I began a journey that took me not into the world of interstellar travel, but back through time into past lives. Under hypnotic regression administered by a professional rather than describing abduction, Jenny, as she is called, begins to tell a tale of horror in 19th century London. Her unbelievable past life seems to connect with Jack the Ripper and other monsters of the past. Throughout the session, Jenny provides a rich detail of her past lives that links some of the most horrific killers in history to one another. Using the resources of a university library in the pre-internet day, I was able to verify some of Jenny's claims. She has knowledge that wasn't readily available to a suburban housewife. Does this prove the reality of her tales? Conversations attempts to answer that and other provocative questions. Conversations is available at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to CC with BB. That's me. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We're talking with Wendy Halley about quantum minds. And I found this very, very interesting just for now, because I'm using quantum fields as a way to understand connections between mind, brain, and the psychosphere, which is perhaps a subdivision of a larger consciousness. But it's a psychosphere is our mental atmosphere right here on Earth, and perhaps it's a hologram of the bigger consciousness. But I just want to stay with the one that's around us because it's a little easier to comprehend. And so here you are telepathically communicating with a young man in a coma who has corrected you about quantum mind. That's what he said. You're investigating quantum mind. You find a book titled Quantum Mind, and then what happened?
Well, I read the description of the book, and then the hair on my arms started to rise pretty quickly. The description on the book, and again, the book was called Quantum Mind, The Edge Between Physics and Psychology. And the description reads, what do your disconnected parts have in common? Is the universe dreaming us, or are we dreaming the universe? Mindell takes you into physics, psychology, and shamanism on a transformative journey into the depth of experience. So then I scroll down on the page a little bit farther, and there's another book. This one's written by his wife, Amy Mindell, and the title of that book is Coma, A Healing Journey. It's a book about how to communicate with comatose patients.
Wow.
Right?
Whoa. You are really flying, man. You are flying.
I couldn't sleep that night.
I bet.
So the next time I connected with Jason, I had to ask him. I said, "So, how did you learn about quantum mind?" And he said, he kind of joked around with me. He said, "A friend of mine." And then I had received an email a bit later, and I include all these email communications in the book, Slaying the Mouse, so that you get an idea of what's happening in physical reality. The friend of his that sent me an email and it was an instructor at Arizona State University where Jason was attending. And I guess he said that he and Jason had a conversation after this particular instructor had finished lecturing at what he was calling the UACT school at ASU. And they were talking about the concept of quantum mind and intention through things like art, music. So that's how he learned about it. And then he told me about it, and I had never heard about it before. And I was really shocked because those are all the topics I'm interested in: consciousness and of course shamanism and psychology and physics. So I was.
So here you were presented with this crazy idea of making connection several thousand miles away with a comatose young man to help him maybe connect with the real world, the outside world, and have his relatives know that he was still around consciously. And he turns out to be one of your best teachers.
In so many ways. That book, or that experience, which is why I wrote it down, because it's really well documented. All that time I was connecting with him, I took copious notes of all my experiences and translated it into a book. Of course, I've changed names and information to protect the identity of him and his family. But yeah, it's like that's a very powerful series of synchronicities and coincidences that happened. But the book is kind of rife with them. There's a lot of them in that book.
Slaying the Mouse.
Yeah, Slaying the Mouse. It's a very strange story. And I think the biggest thing I learned from that experience working with him is the difference between healing and curing. I learned that everything can be healed, but not everything can be cured.
So go ahead. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, so hard to put it into words. It's so if somebody has sometimes they have an injury, a physical injury, or some kind of disabling condition, they may not be able to cure it, but they can heal the underlying patterns that might be contributing to it, or their relationship with that particular disease or injury.
Make yourself whole again, given what you've got, given what's happened to you. Just resume functioning,
right.
But that doesn't mean that you can get your leg back.
Exactly. Yeah. But that was because of course I went into that experience with Jason very naive, thinking like, oh, I hope he can wake up from his coma and his brain injury will be healed completely and he'll go back to full functioning. And it just didn't work that way.
What happened?
Well, you should read the book to find out.
I'm not going to. You're going to tell us. You didn't send it to me, so go ahead.
Well, he did not survive. He did come out of the coma, but he did not survive. He lived probably for another, I think it was like 4 or 5 years after. But was he able to
communicate? Go ahead.
No, he had severe damage to his pons. So it was almost like he didn't have control of his body, and they still don't really know what happened to cause the damage to his brain stem. So it was like he was a prisoner in his body. I think he was capable of thinking, but he wasn't capable of moving his limbs, and so he learned ways to communicate with his eyes and some movement, like he could do a thumbs up. But he was bedridden, needed 24-hour care.
There's an old story about from World War II, where a guy was in the same condition and just could use his eyes, but he'd lost all his limbs and his ability to speak, and his ability.
Butterfly, the bell and the something. Yeah, I read that book.
Well, this is very similar, and it's pretty amazing, but. the point, focus I'd like to do for this moment is the mechanisms by which you were able to communicate with him at that distance. Because what I am doing in my little part of all of this consciousness exploration is trying to map the psychosphere, which means to be able to describe the ways in which we are all interconnected. People like to say everything's connected, and okay, how is everything connected is what I am trying to answer. That is mapping the psychosphere. And you developed what I am calling a tunnel between his mind and your mind through the psychosphere. And you did it by believing that you could. The little engine that could had something to say, and you believed you could, and here you got a wonderful teacher, and he was able to survive longer, probably because he could finally communicate with someone. For him, it was a marvelous thing to be able to happen, to have you for him there. So how do you understand that to happen? Because what I understand to happen is intention plus emotion connects minds.
Yes, intention is probably the most important part, and then add the passion or the desire to that intention, and I think you have powerful medicine. I mean, as far as the technique goes, I'm not doing anything new or anything that other people can't do as well. It's ancient medicine. It's, every culture has had some sort of shamanic practice universally around the world, figuring out how to get into an altered state, and then Did
you go into an altered state when you tried to communicate with him?
Yes, each time, and I use sound. It's the safest, easiest way to get into an altered state, which is a very fast. It's like 4 to 7 beats per second, a drum beat. It's a classic kind of rhythm that entrains your brain. It puts you into a dominant theta brainwave, and then that invites a visionary state.
Theta, did you say? So yeah. That's about 7.
4 to 7, yeah.
4 to 7 hertz, yeah. That's a key number. It has something to do with Schumann resonance, which is about 8 or 7 point something or other, which is all around us. The Schumann resonance is a product of electrical activity, lightning between the ionosphere and the Earth's crust that creates a standing wave that's basic harmonic is about 7.8 hertz. And that's been around a long time. And that's something to do with what you were just able to talk about. Because I think that is one way that allows the mind to get out of its case and into the psychosphere. And what you were doing was intentionally directing your mind to this mind and made the connection. So what else were you doing besides the 4 to 7 hertz drum beat thing to be able to get to Jason?
Well, it was just like you were saying at the beginning of this part of the conversation. I had the intention of connecting with him, and I have this place that I go to in my mind's eye. You could call it. I call it the dream time. And to me, the dream time is consciousness. That's my take on it. And so it's like tuning my consciousness into this place with the help of the drum that enables me to set my intention, and then you're able to access information or connect with all kinds of stuff, past, present, future.
All right, we'll get to Dreamtime in the next segment. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We are speaking with Wendy Halley, and we are talking about Dreamtime and connecting telepathically.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. Audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, Xzone Radio TV. For more information on the Xzone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Welcome back to CC with BB. I am your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We are talking about the book and experience of Slaying the Mouse with Wendy Halley. And Wendy, you talk about going into an altered state of consciousness that's about 7.8 hertz, or between 4 and 7 hertz, which is kind of like the way everybody's brain gets to between sleep and wakefulness sometimes. And I look at that state as like a hatch to allow your mind to get out of its conventional place, because you want it to be able to, and then that conventional place you go, the unconventional place you go to, you call dreamtime, in which you're able to access past, present, future, and lots of other things. The term dreamtime, as you probably know, but I'm asking, is what Australian Aboriginals use for their altered states of consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like the word. It does encapsulate the experiences I have there. Indigenous people would say that place, the dreamtime, that's the real world, and that this physical world we're living on is the dreaming, that this is the dream.
Yeah.
And that the dreamtime is dreaming our universe into existence. And I love that. That
idea has been around so much that we're we're being created by something else. I've gone now to thinking that we're in a simulation, which is a kind of computer way of talking
a modern
about this.
version of
A modern metaphor for the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What it does is allow us to think about it in more concrete terms and wonder how it operates, and then think of ourselves as avatars in this simulation, trying to figure out that we're in a simulation and how to get out of it or into the next state of consciousness. Well, let's go to what is a shaman? Well, tell us what you mean by that.
Well, it's first of all, I don't call myself a shaman, but I do shamanic practice, shamanic technique, because I'm kind of I'm from the school of thought that you have to earn that title, and your community has to give it to you if you demonstrate the skills of somebody who can alter their consciousness and access the dream time. And and typically shamans, when they are altered and they access this other place, they're bringing intentions on behalf of others or their community, for healing or for information or for understanding. And so that's and that can take lots of different forms. There are shamans who focus on just plant medicines, connecting with the plant spirits. There are shamans who focus on ritual and ceremony. There are shamans who focus on healing work, and different types of healing work. So
it's usually or always for the benefit of the community.
Correct. Yes. It's a when you kind of step onto this path, you're making a commitment. You're being of service.
Mm-hmm. And
my not so secret wish is that everyone become their own shaman. That they wouldn't need to go to somebody to access this world on their behalf, but that they can access it on their own, and just really explore this rich territory of their own consciousness.
I've been a fan of wanting psychotherapy to eliminate the need for itself. I don't think that's going to happen. It was an original impulse I had when I wrote my first book on it, and the reason now listening to you, I think that's not going to happen, is because we need each other. That we self-regulate with other people. We don't just do it ourselves. Other people help regulate us, and we help regulate them emotionally, cognitively, experientially. So I'm curious to see this world that you imagined of isolated shaman. I don't think you mean this, but the isolated shaman taking care of him or herself. I don't think you mean that.
Well, no, I mean it more as a tool of introspection. If we look at it from a cultural worldview point of view or perspective, this idea that we Westerners have gotten really far away from having an internal focus, where we turn inward to try to understand. We're very externally focused. We go to experts, we go to books, we are in our heads. We're very top heavy, trying to understand, answer the question why. And I think I do subscribe to the idea that we have the wisdom within us. It's just a matter of accessing it, and it takes discipline and it takes time, but it's there. Go ahead.
Being top heavy. Too much thinking, and yet what you're talking about is go introspective. So please resolve that contradiction.
Okay. So from this more indigenous perspective, it's about relationship. It's about being in relationship instead of manipulating or trying to make things in the external world the way you want them to put yourself at ease. It's about going inside and figuring out what is the unease about, and then being in relationship with. So let's say you are struggling with low self-esteem, for example. You feel like a failure. So from a shamanic perspective, you could go within yourself and connect with the part of you that feels like a failure. And instead of get rid of it, you would make friends with it and see what it's trying to tell you about yourself. And how do you because it's, to me, it's a symptom. Are you really a failure? Most likely you're not. It's just a belief that you have.
Yes, and that's good psychotherapy, is to embrace the negative, because you want to believe that negative in there has some message for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
I'm taking it a little bit further than that, where it's like you can, because shamanism is all about power. It's all about connecting with personal power, and from this perspective, throughout life, as we go through life as a human being, which is, as we all know, not very easy, we lose power. We give it away to others unconsciously. We lose it because of stuff that happens to us, trauma. And so by the time we're adults, we all have varying degrees of power loss. So this is really about connecting with power, personal power, and that can come, so you can connect shamanically to allies who can help you. And they can be symbolic allies, they can be archetypal allies. So like the spirit of an animal might come forward, like a bear, and I'm a raven girl, so I have this connection with the raven. And every time I have this connection with the raven, it reminds me about the mystery and going into the unknown and feeling safe and comfortable with the unknown. And anyway,
fly into the darkness with the raven.
Yes.
Okay, let's use the shamanic experiences perspective, and how has that influenced your idea about coincidences?
Well, I think because I've been doing this for so long. What has happened, I think, just as a byproduct of having these shamanic experiences over 20 years now, is that my perspective on reality has expanded so much, because really that's all it is an expanded perception of reality. And then having so many experiences that show me that have direct experiences have shown me that this is the dream. I have come to really believe that this is the dream. And then looking at the patterns of life in my everyday life, not just as, it's so hard to put this into words.
Let me go along with you a little bit, because I think what we're coming to realize, those of us studying coincidences, is that they need to be looked at somewhat like we have done dream analysis, that this is a waking dream that we're in, and of a different kind. It's not lucid dreaming. It is we're in regular reality, as we might call it, dreaming it, and there are being dreamed, and we are lucidly dreaming in this dream if we want to see it. And coincidences are a way to notice that we are lucidly dreaming, and can then use them to understand the dream itself and our place in it.
Exactly, yeah. And so that has become such a natural part of the way I'm living, that synchronicities and coincidences are happening all the time. It's just like, it's all just happenstance, because I think my perspective has expanded so much.
You just have come to be able to expect them to happen, because your perspective has expanded so much, and so they do. And there are a lot of ways people talk about coincidence awareness, but as with your trying to connect with your the young man Jason in the coma, you have to believe they exist first. And once you start believing that they exist, you start being able to track them and register them and be able to see them. And then comes the real task of trying to understand how to use them and how to explain them. You're come to the end of this segment. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We're speaking with Wendy Halley, who is the author of Slaying the Mouse.
last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
In the mid-1990s, I was approached by a young woman who believed she'd been abducted by alien creatures. In conversations, I began a journey that took me not into the world of interstellar travel, but back through time into past lives. Under hypnotic regression administered by a professional rather than describing abduction, Jenny, as she is called, begins to tell a tale of horror in 19th century London. Her unbelievable past life seems to connect with Jack the Ripper and other monsters of the past. Throughout the session, Jenny provides a rich detail of her past lives that links some of the most horrific killers in history to one another. Using the resources of a university library in the pre-internet day, I was able to verify some of Jenny's claims. She has knowledge that wasn't readily available to a suburban housewife. Does this prove the reality of her tales? Conversations attempts to answer that and other provocative questions. Conversations is available at Amazon.com.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
Hey, you listen to me? I'm talking to you. Welcome back to CC with BB. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, and we're talking with Wendy Halley, and we are talking about... Wendy, I wanted to ask, where'd you come up with this title, Slaying the Mouse, for your connection to comatose young man and being able to telepathically communicate with him? What's slaying the mouse have to do with it?
Well, that's actually a big coincidence in and of itself. But that's kind of like...
Oh, what a coincidence that I brought that up. Isn't that amazing? Okay.
Crazy. I know. It's insane.
Yeah.
But it's a symbol that where Jason, once he slays the mouse, he actually, that's the healing that happens when he slays the mouse. And what that represents to him. And he eventually does it. So he achieves healing.
What mouse are we talking about? Mickey Mouse?
A mouse.
Any mouse.
It's the symbol of a mouse. Yeah, that showed up in the dreaming, when I was connecting with him. Well, it's because that's kind of it's a long story. There's a lot of bits and pieces to it, but that's why, much to my my agent at the time, his chagrin, he didn't like the title because it's gerundial, but it was a perfect kind of summary of what happened.
One of the one of the challenges I have with this coincidence project that I'm initiating, we're trying to get people together to talk about where this coincidence project can go. And the basic idea of the coincidence project, the vision of it, is to encourage people to tell each other their coincidence stories. And the purpose of that is to make coincidences more part of everyday life, because they are, and just make it more consciously part of everyday life. But the reason that it's the part of the problem and challenge we're doing this is helping people tell coincidence stories. Because it's like telling any story. You can like ramble off with a good story or with a good storyline, and it goes no place because the listener gets lost in all your detail or all your rambling. So we're trying to help people tell coincidence stories in a succinct way that registers with the listener, which requires being able to edit your own thought and be able to keep the listener in mind when you're telling your story. So you have a very interesting story here about how Slaying the Mouse became the title of your book, despite what your agent said. And it's a mystery. And so you can't maybe do it right now, but being able to tell that story succinctly is what we're trying to encourage people to learn how to do. And I've got some ideas about how to do it, but it's still, what would be the bottom line takeaway that you would want somebody to learn from your coincidence involving the title Slaying the Mouse?
The bottom line, let's see, takeaway is that, that you would have to make friends with fear. That's the bottom line.
Good. And coincidences are usually made up of two apparently unconnected events that somehow come together in the mind of the observer. So, two or more. So, could you describe what the two arms of this coincidence might have been?
You want me to tell the story, huh?
Well, I want to see if I can. This is part. I mean, I appreciate you're going along with me on this. I want to be able to explain how to tell a coincidence story as well while we're doing this.
Okay, let me try to piece this together quickly in my mind. So I wrote this book back in 2006. So and then I did a second edition, and I just did the audio version a couple of years ago. So that was the most recent reading I did of it. I'm trying to remember because I don't want to misquote myself. That's the thing.
We can skip this too, but the point I'm trying to make is a coincidence is made up of two independent events coming together in your mind, and usually two. And what I'm looking for are what are the two elements of the coincidence, or what are the two incidents of the coincidence that we're describing here.
Well, let me do a simpler one from that book.
Okay.
The panda story. So there was this one time I connected with Jason in the dreamtime, and I found myself at a campfire, and Jason was there. He was sitting at this campfire. A couple other characters were sitting there, and a panda bear was sitting there. And they were having this conversation. I was just kind of eavesdropping on this conversation. And the panda seemed so random, but this panda was very kind of, if I remember, very nurturing and one of the characters was making fun of the panda, and Jason was defending, don't make fun of the panda. So that was kind of the scene. And then later on in physical reality, I had shared that weird experience with his family. And so what they were doing was they were capturing some of the experiences I was having and putting them up visually in his hospital room, or at that time he was in a nursing home or rehab. And so they put a picture of a panda up on the wall, even though we didn't know what the hell it meant. And I guess this nurse came in. I think she was a respiratory specialist because he was on a ventilator for a long time. And she asked about the panda, and the mom told her that, well, we don't really, it's just sort of like maybe a totem animal or something. We don't really know, but it seems important. And she rolled up her sleeve and showed a tattoo of a panda bear on her arm. The nurse had, and it happened to be the nurse that he was most connected with and most.
So that confirmed that you were another form of communication you were having with Jason.
Right.
You picked up the panda from his mind, and there the panda was the key, a key representation of the person who was being very kind to him and with whom he was connected. That's very nice, and what that makes me wonder is what effect did all this have on his relatives who now started to believe that you were communicating with him?
Well, I think it probably would depend on which relative you talk to. I mean, of course, they were.
Yeah.
I think the father was a skeptic and remained one. I don't think he really was buying into it at all. And I think the mom was she was really afraid but they were all kind of just desperate to figure out what was going on with him and to have him feel better. And I think, it was a touchy place for me because I didn't want to give any kind of false hope that Wendy, because I'm just a girl, could do something that could help him. But to have these communications, I was hoping they were bringing some kind of comfort that he was aware, he could hear them, because he was responding to things that his mom would say to him, and then he would tell me about them, like the quantum mind example.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that, if anything, that would bring comfort. But
so did it bring comfort to the mother?
Yes, it brought comfort to the mother and to the sister that my brother was dating.
That your brother was dating?
Yeah, this is how I got connected with them. My brother was dating Jason's sister.
Well, this whole thing is beautiful to me because you begin to wonder about how programmed all this was for you in your life. You can talk about fate. It's not just fate. It's you making decisions, and that's what I like about all this simulation idea, is that there's still the avatar, you making decisions. You were dating the brother, and then they had enough confidence in you for some reason to be able to make this proposal to you somehow, to be able to connect with them because they could see something in you. And that opened up a whole new world for you of being able to enter dreamtime, which to me is getting into the psychosphere and making connections. And there's all kinds of ways to do it. And you have your way of getting out of this rocket ship and out into space where you can make these connections, the space of the psychosphere. And then you were able to help the women in the family, anyway, the mother and the sister, know there is more going on in the reality than what they're being told, because you had evidence for them. It's a lovely story about mutual helping each other advance consciously, and that's what we're all trying to do here. That's what I'm trying to do, is help people advance consciously the way you help this mother and the sister, as well as you're helping your clients.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
Well, if you are, you just did it. You just showed it. And so you don't have to hope anymore. You just have to keep doing it to help people expand their consciousness into whatever words we're talking about. At Dreamtime, I call it psychosphere, but it's there. So thank you very much for being on the show with me, Wendy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Good. You've been listening. Good. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Our guest has been Wendy Halley.